Welcome to the last part of AR storytelling lecture. In this part we will look at several AR games and try to outline their storytelling features. In the end, I will list all of AR storytelling methods and techniques that we found. While in common AR apps, storytelling concerns an overall user experience of AR and the way developer transfers the idea of the app to the end user, in games storytelling tightly binds with the term game design. Game design is a complex topic that deserves its own lectures and even the whole course. I'm pointing this out since these features that I will outline in AR games are not storytelling specific practices, but game design solutions that provide good storytelling. So you see, with games, storytelling builds over the game design, always. Sometimes in games, game design and storytelling is almost the same thing. We can take a look at games by Quantic Dreams Company, for example. So, for AR games, I would suggest to explore game design first, at least in some way, and then think about your game's storytelling. Remember that storytelling for games in general is much complex and wider topic than just simple AR storytelling. I guess you heard about the most famous AR game. Pokemon Go, being super successful, didn't really inspire other developers to create AR games. Well, Pokemon Go certainly did inspire many companies to make Pokemon Go clones. I should mention that you can't really call Pokemon Go an augmented reality app. It's more a geolocation-based entertainment. That's why I'm not going to review it. I want to review 5 games that use AR in a good and in a bad way. This should help me to reveal which directions you should follow while developing your own AR games. AR game Arise. The main idea of this game is based on finding the correct perspective by moving your phone around virtual objects. While this game doesn't consist of complex game systems and mechanics, it utilizes ideas of augmented reality in a good way. Player moves around virtual game location in real space while positioning his phone. Such game design solutions provide good storytelling for the player and overall better engagement in the process, because player understands why this game is in AR and what new experience it provides. Unlike Arise, our next case is not using any real advantages of AR. The game called Genesis Augmented Reality. Sure, it shows characters from real-life playing cards, but I feel that this feature was made just for the record, without any thought put in it. If you think about it, this app could easily work even without any AR. In fact, there are plenty of common mobile games like this one on smartphone stores. This is a bad example of any storytelling, since it's just an inspiring example of AR in general. AR Dragon. This game is basically Tamagotchi with AR elements. At the first glance I can tell that this game uses AR in a very poor way. Virtual characters are simply drawn over your phone camera. At the same time, maybe fans of Tamagotchi don't really need any additional AR features, and in this particular case, just seeing your virtual pet in the real world is enough. Do not forget to think about your target audience. Our next case is Zombie Gunship Revenant AR. This game uses a mobile device as a controller to allow players to freely move around the 3D scene. Zombie Gunship is a good example of AR since it has a great storytelling context of AR. You place a virtual military base in your real space and then shooting zombies like you are on a military plane. And the key for AR storytelling here is aesthetics. The graphics has post-processing filters that makes virtual space look like you are looking through a military thermal imager. Iflydian Lands AR. This game is similar to our first case game, Arise. Iflydian Land is a special puzzle. The additional feature is that you not only move your camera, but you can change the virtual space of the game. With AR possibilities, you freely explore virtual environment in order to find the right path for the game's character. This main game design solution is reflected in game's title and game's story. This is an example that with games, game design and storytelling should work together, and at the same time, game design dictates game's storytelling. To be honest, with games it is much harder to give a strict and 100% perfect advice, since games are really close to the art, and I feel that with games it's more often about own creator's experience of making games and not about learning. Again, if you're thinking about making a good AR game, go and watch several online game design courses first. There are some great on Coursera and edX. So let's make some conclusion. Here are advices for best AR storytelling that can be applied for any common AR app. Pay attention to the target audience of your AR application and use different storytelling techniques based on that audience. Avoid complicated tutorials and explanations. Don't overload the user with texts. Remember that interaction is an important cognitive operation. Don't be afraid of making your app arty or super simple if you know that there's an audience that definitely would like it. If you are developing an AR app for kids or just an entertainment app, consider using these storytelling techniques. Use contextual explanations. For example, if your project is about fairy tales, make a girl with Riding Hood explain your app's features. And if your app about space, make a cosmonaut provide user with tutorial and so on. Try to make every action or interaction in your app to be contextual. You don't just select objects when you tap on the screen. You should see animation of a magic wand that chooses selected objects. Try to make as many virtual objects as possible to be interactable, even if they are not necessary for the purpose of the app. If the user moves in an augmented space and accidentally touches the vase should fall. Remember to use sounds. They add extra feedback to interactions. And it's especially important for kids apps. It's no artificial tutorials and explanations, minimum amount of texts. And if you're developing a serious AR app, use gamification. Connect gamification with possibilities of AR. Make user interface in a diegetic form. Try to avoid menus or text buttons. Choose graphic style carefully. Usually, for serious applications, it is better to choose realistic style for your virtual assets. And add option to show real-life parameters of virtual objects, so that a user could compare virtual world to the real one. And if you're developing an AR game, think about game design of your project first, and then think about which game systems can be developed with a focus on AR. Research game storytelling techniques and apply them to AR-specific storytelling techniques. Well, that's it. Thank you for your attention, and I think good luck creating storytelling rich AR applications.